Hi everyone, welcome to Difference Frames the World, a channel where you can see the world from a different angle. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification so you will not miss our videos uploaded every week. Today, we discuss the US election 2024, supposedly the most dramatic one in America's history, and see whether Kamala Harris can defeat Donald Trump after Joe Biden decided not to play the game anymore. Like previous elections, the situation in the US election 2024 has been getting worse every day, from bad to worse, to another worse, and the worst is yet to come. The attempted assassination of Donald Trump and the announcement of Joe Biden quitting the election shocked the world. Several weeks have passed since Donald Trump survived the attempted assassination in July 2024, and we have to say the unsuccessful murder happened too early for the former president to gain the upper hand over his new rival, Kamala Harris. It is worth mentioning that the New York Times first described the killer as a Chinese man, and then identified him as a white male. It has become a habit of the infamous US media outlet to put China on all topics to attract eyeballs. 1 week after the shooting, Joe Biden was pressured to quit the election and expressed his support of Vice President Harris to become the new Democratic candidate. The latter was formally nominated as the Democratic candidate to run the election. The almighty God saved Donald Trump, and the bullet missed him by 3 millimeters. He showed his right hand and shouted, "Fight, fight, fight." He was regarded as a US hero and warrior. He was formally nominated as the Republican presidential candidate after the shooting. Interestingly, Donald Trump chose J.D. Vance as his vice president, even though the latter used to attack him fiercely in public. Recently, the latter has repeatedly invited criticism for his silly remarks, like the mocking of Kamala Harris as a cat lady, which further drives his favorability rating lower among female voters. People wonder whether Donald Trump will dump him and find another vice president, although Trump's team has denied it. Joe Biden dropped out of the presidential race in 2024, and Harris hit the election trail and saw a boost in favorability rating. In contrast, Donald Trump's favorability rating dropped after the attempted assassination and national nomination. The polls also show a higher turnout rate, from 70% to 76%, and more Democratic voters are willing to vote in the coming November contest. Still, many doubt whether the United States is ready for a female president, and Harris will probably copy Hillary Clinton's failure in the 2016 election. It is worth mentioning that Hillary Clinton had already celebrated her victory before she lost the presidency to Donald Trump, who, in turn, lost his campaign to Joe Biden unexpectedly in 2020 when he sought re-election. Donald Trump never took Joe Biden as his rival, and he does not admit that Joe Biden won the 2020 election. Instead, he continuously claims that the Democrats stole the 2020 presidency from him. Many Americans still believe Trump's accusation is valid. Trump does not believe he lost the 2020 election to Biden and views Kamala Harris as the last person to win the election in 2024. As a vice president behind Joe Biden, Kamala Harris exerts little or no influence on domestic and international affairs. After Joe Biden decides not to continue his 2024 campaign, she has to take over the liabilities the Biden administration leaves behind. Some argue that the so-called sex scandal accusing her of sleeping her way to the top may affect her favorability rating, but we hardly think so. The US society does not care, even if the claim is valid. The threshold of becoming a politician in the US is not high, and integrity is never a measurement point. Donald Trump will find it challenging to attack Harris for the so-called scandal, as he is dirty as well. He became a convicted felon mainly because of the thing between a man and a woman. 2 weeks ago, several news outlets disclosed that Kamala Harris might have descended from a notorious Irish slave owner, claiming that she might lose some black supporters. It is not a valid point, though. Donald Trump's grandfather was a brothel owner and made money out of wretched ladies, not much better than the slave owner ancestor of Kamala Harris. Moreover, most American politicians' ancestors came from other continents, mainly Europe, and they murdered millions of Native Americans, way worse than Harris and Trump's ancestors. Neither the alleged sex scandal nor slave owner ancestry will stop Kamala Harris from running for the 2024 election. Still, gender disparity is a barrier that she has to overcome in the coming days, although she is more popular than Donald Trump with female voters according to recent polls. Many people believe Donald Trump will win the 2024 election, but we hardly think his victory is guaranteed. At the last moment, he may lose the presidency mysteriously as he did 4 years ago. It is not the voters but the deep state that will decide who wins the election. In 2020, Joe Biden was most likely selected instead of elected. Although the current U.S. president is probably among the worst in U.S. history, he is the best choice the deep state has made if we fully understand what he has done since he stepped into the White House in January 2021. What he did in the Ukraine war is his most remarkable achievement, which has pleased all interest groups in the United States, from the military-industrial complex to the energy titans, even though his country is at the edge of bankruptcy, with over $35 trillion of national debt. Joe Biden is a professional politician who will do anything for political and personal gains. He does not care whether his moves are reasonable and make sense, and absurdity and stupidity are not checkpoints to decide their effectiveness. A good example is his restriction on drones from China. In early July 2024, the U.S. loosened import control on Chinese drones from September 1, 2024 onward. Ironically, China decided not to sell unregulated drones, which can serve military or terrorist purposes, also taking effect on September 1, 2024, 12 hours before America's lift of the ban on Chinese drones if we consider the time zone difference between China and the United States. Just like the U.S. restricting the export of its high-end chips to China to slow down China's semiconductor industry, China is afraid that the U.S. may use Chinese civilian drones to equip its troops. Donald Trump will make little difference in China's affairs if elected in 2024, and the relations between Beijing and Washington can hardly improve. However, he will focus more on America's domestic affairs. As a result, he will upset the deep state and possibly lose the battle to Harris. Before Harris took over the 2024 campaign from the sleeping Joe, Donald Trump kept attacking Biden for his age and alleged dementia. His rival is now 2 decades younger and more energetic, able to laugh hysterically all day long. People suddenly find Trump is too old for the arena. Recent swing state polls reveal that Harris leads Trump by 4% in 3 key swing states, meaning that Harris is 1 step closer to her presidency. Although no one should underestimate Donald Trump's influence, and many Americans love him, we cannot deny that Kamala Harris is a more powerful rival to the former president than Biden. If Joe Biden did not quit, people might choose Trump to kick the current president out of the White House. Joe Biden is not an asset to the Democrats but a liability. For the deep state, Joe Biden is the best puppet, and Donald Trump is the opposite. Most likely, Trump would still lose the campaign even if Joe Biden did not leave. However, it would be challenging for someone to manipulate the results if Biden continued his journey, as after his disastrous debate with Trump, the whole world believed Trump would defeat him in November. Kamala Harris is a better choice, making things easier. After stepping into the White House, she will follow Biden's suit to serve the country's interest groups at whatever price Americans can pay. Donald Trump is different. Like Don Quixote, he wants to challenge existing interest groups and refuses to surrender. His courage, personality, and dignity are the last things the deep state wants a U.S. president to keep in the White House. Donald Trump can still lose the campaign to Kamala Harris if the latter serves the deep state better, even if she is not a better option for most voters. It is worth mentioning that Kamala Harris helped create a crime wave in California when she was that state's prosecutor, a position she boasts when pursuing the presidency in her 2024 campaign. In recent years, California has suffered from $0 shopping, better known as a theft crime, and the vice president, whom J.D. Vance referred to as a childless cat lady, helped shoplifters build an $8 billion shoplifting industry in California by being too soft on crimes. If she successfully becomes the U.S. president in January 2025, retail theft in the whole country may be as rampant as in California. Supposedly, people can get genuine Gucci purses for less than $100 or backorder Nike shoes with no more than $20 from street vendors. Unlike Donald Trump's Make America Great Again, Kamala Harris can promote a new strategy in her 2024 campaign, Make America Cheaper Another Way. Although we think Kamala Harris has a higher chance of winning the election or selection, we do not rule out the possibility that Donald Trump may reconcile with the deep state and step into the White House again.